Lizard Man.
Let me preface this event by saying that I was 25 or 26 at the time, and I am a 4'10", 100-pound girl. At the time of this event, I worked at a JCPenney store as a floater, just wandering around helping where I was needed. On this particular day, I was walking through the men's suit department, which is in the back corner of the store and kind of secluded. It's a low traffic area, so there isn't always an employee posted there, and as I was passing by, I noticed a customer looking around. So I went up and gave him my whole, "Hi, can I help you?" routine. The guy turned around, and the first thought that flashed through my head was, this dude looks like a lizard. The guy was bald, with a high forehead and tiny, really narrow eyes that were too far apart and slightly slanted. Typing this out makes him sound like an alien. He also had a long, thin beard and a braid. He was tall and had a huge belly. He was wearing a t-shirt for some motorcycle club, so that plus the beard told me that he was just your typical good old Harley riding redneck. We have a lot of those in my town and they're mostly harmless. Anyway, I asked if he needed any help, and for a full 30 seconds he just stared at me, blinking slowly. Finally, he mumbled something I didn't catch and then angrily said something like, "What do I have to do to get some help around here?" I'm just smiling and nodding. "Yes, sir. No, sir. What can I help you with, sir?" He keeps staring at me with his lizard eyes, and I'm starting to get a little weirded out because he won't talk to me. Finally, he says he needs a suit, and he needs to be measured for it. I tell him I'll go get the lady who does that. I know how to do it too, but I don't want to touch this creep. He got mad and started yelling that I should know how to do my job, and that he wants me to measure him. I say okay, but I have to go get a measuring tape. So he starts yelling that no one in this place can do their job. Terrible customer service, etc. He wants me to measure him now. I go up to the register area, allegedly to get the measuring tape, but really just to tell my supervisor we've got a weirdo. When we get back to the suits, he's gone. Or so we think. Throughout the rest of the day, I keep seeing him. He seems to be following me, because every time I turn around, he's there, staring at me with his slow blinking lizard eyes. I tell my supervisor, who keeps an eye on him, but the guy doesn't approach me again. He just watches. At the end of my shift, which is at 4 p.m., I feel okay about walking to my car alone. It's broad daylight after all, in a busy parking lot, but my supervisor insists on having someone escort me, and thank God he did. As we approached my car, the lizard guy drove by us very slowly, staring at me. I waited to make sure he was really gone before getting into my car, because I didn't want him to know which one was mine, and I took a convoluted route home, but I didn't see him. Long story short, I've seen Lizard Man in the store a couple of times, but he doesn't often approach me. When he does, he's just rude and sort of babbles, never saying anything of consequence. He never buys anything and just wanders around the store, occasionally picking other employees to creep on. Our manager won't kick him out of the store because he hasn't really done anything wrong. He's just a creeper. So creepy, staring lizard man. Please go do your creeping at Sears.
How I received and rejected my first marriage proposal.
Let me start this off by apologizing for any grammar mistakes. I don't have a good excuse. I just suck at my own freaking language sometimes. So I turned 16 exactly 3 weeks ago, but I have this weird habit of rounding up my age months before my birthday, meaning I've been saying I'm 16 for a few months now. I like to spend a lot of my time at the local library. I'm homeschooled with 3 siblings, so it's pretty much the only chance I have to do my work in a quiet, neat place. About the beginning of this last summer, I noticed some guy was at the library every single time I was. At first, I thought nothing of it, as there's plenty of people I've noticed coming to the library regularly. But one day I noticed something way off. I just finished all my schoolwork for the year and was just digging around playing games on one of the library computers when I noticed the same guy sitting 2 computers down from me. I smiled and nodded at him, then continued my game. The internet on my computer started going off, so I switched over to the other side of the computer desk and logged onto that one. Lo and behold, creepy guy, who I'll refer to as CG from here on out, switched over to the other side as well, sitting right next to me and staring at my computer screen, as if I was blind and wouldn't notice. I immediately got a bad feeling about this and texted my mom to tell her I'd be stopping by the pharmacy next door to pick up her prescriptions for her, just so I'd have an excuse to leave. Apparently, though, CG wasn't done yet and followed me outside. He stopped me right outside the library and asked me for my name and how old I was. I told him I am Hamming and 16 years old. He informs me that his name is Jonathan and he's 46. Then proceeds to tell me I'm one good-looking 16-year-old and walk away. This dude looks about as stereotypical meth user as you can get. Scruffy beard, gel-spiked hair, dirty band t-shirt, and ripped up cargo shorts. So I just figured he was your run-of-the-mill creep. The next day I had a writers group meeting at the very same library, so I left my house and started walking for it. I'll spare you the tedious details, but around halfway through my walk, I noticed CG following behind me on a bike. I was creeped out, but didn't want to seem crazy, and I simply chalked it up to him walking the same way as me. To be sure, I ended up taking 2 right turns, both of which he followed. I was officially bugged out, so I turned onto our town's main road, which led straight to the library. He followed me the entire 3/4 of a mile there. At some point, I don't remember, I pulled out my phone and texted my girlfriend what was going on, and then called her until I got to the meeting. When I got to the meeting, I explained to the group leader what was going on, and she offered to drive me home afterwards. 2 hours later, and we leave to see CG still waiting outside the library, glaring at us all the way to our car. A few weeks went by without a CG encounter, so he was all but forgotten by me until the day he proposed to me. I was walking home from the grocery store with some snacks when I noticed him sitting outside the laundromat I pass on my way home. I groaned internally and decided ignoring him was the best bet until he ran after me. I can't remember the word for word conversation, but it went something like,
Hey,
"Hey,
how old are you now?
still 16.
I don't believe you.
Now I have no idea why I didn't just knock him out then and there, but I didn't. And instead, I pulled out my student ID and showed it to him. What he said next, I'll probably never forget.
Oh shit, well, are you emancipated?
No.
You should get emancipated,
Why?
because then you could marry me. I promise I'll take good care of you and our kids would be so cute.
I booked it out of there, and after a couple more incidents of him following me around, he sort of dropped off the map. Until back in August, he cornered me in a gas station to demand to know why I act so scared around him and to stop doing that. I haven't heard from or seen him since, but to this day, the idea of him freaks me the fuck out.